Just going to talk about my storyboard and the ideas I have behind it and how I'm going to construct it throughout. First of all, it's going to start off with heavy breathing. It's going to be unclear if it's male or female who's doing the heavy breathing, because I want to make the audience not know who it is, and I want them to sort of leave them guessing as to who is doing the heavy breathing and why. Next we have a shot of a child, and this child is going to have a bruise on her face and a few cuts. It's just going to sort of zoom up onto her face and sort of introduce us to that character, because next it's going to go into a scene of another character with the same bruise and cuts on her face. This is going to make it clear that these two characters are the same characters, just younger and older versions. Next shot is going to fade out into the little girl, the child, and she is just going to be playing. The song is going to say "Tear My Yellow Dress," and the little girl is going to be wearing a yellow dress, and she's going to tear her dress while playing, and this is going to foreshadow what happens with the wife later on in the trailer. Then we see a shot of the child crying because obviously she's torn her dress, and then this also foreshadows what is going to happen later in the trailer. Then we're going to have the husband's hands covering the wife with the bruise on her face, and he is going to have cuts all over his hands and bruises, but he's also going to have his wedding ring on, which shows that they are married, because it says, "I don't want to see what I've seen to undo what has been done," so he's covering up her eyes to make sure that she doesn't see what he's done to her. Then it's going to go into a shot of the hallway, and it's going to start zooming up onto the room in which the husband has been murdered. Then we have a very quick shot of the husband laying on the floor with blood around him, and at this point we don't know that he is the husband because you only see his face when he's dead. Then it's going to go into my production logo. I haven't really put that much effort into making it look very nice at the moment, but that is just my sort of basic idea and what I want to call it. Then we're going to have a scene of the wife and crying, and that's just going to sort of make the audience identify with her and get a personal identification with her and realise that she is in a bad place at the moment. Next we're going to see a scene of the wife sitting down with a male, and we don't know that the male's the husband, but it is going to be the husband, and she is going to be upset because the person who she is sitting with, her husband, is having a go at her. I'm going to do an over-the-shoulder shot of the husband looking at the wife, getting upset at what he's saying, and throughout my trailer I'm not going to actually have any speech in it, which builds tension more and makes it seem a bit more different and will grab your attention more. And the next shot is going to be over the shoulder of the wife, and you're going to see that it's the husband having a go at her, and you'll recognise that the husband is in fact the man that was dead on the floor, and this is going to make the audience wonder why he's been killed, and you're instantly straight away going to think that it's the wife, but later on in the trailer I'm going to give hints that it could be someone else, or it could be anyone really. The next shot I'm going to have the husband taking the wife away, but while the wife's been taken away, she is going to look behind her shoulder and she's going to catch a glance of a man, and it's going to go into a shot of the man that she's looking at, and this man is a policeman, and he seems to be looking at her like, you know, he knows her. And then it's going to go to another shot of her, and she's going to be trying to sort of stop her husband from taking her away because she wants to talk to him or be with him. And then that gives the audience an idea that she is interested in this male figure because of how bad her relationship is with her husband. Next we're going to have a shot of an over-the-shoulder shot of the person that she's interested in, the policeman, and she is going to put her arm around him, and then this will highlight her ring because I'm going to make her do it with her left hand, and I'm going to frame it so then the ring is in the centre of the shot. So then you do know who the characters are, but it will also highlight the fact that she is married, but she is having this affair. Then we're next going to have a shot of her running towards what will look like blood in her yellow dress, and then this will link to the idea that it was foreshadowed when she was a child, when she tore her yellow dress. And then obviously it's going to have a close-up of the dress tearing, and then it will have her crying with blood on her hands and on her dress. And then she's going to look behind her shoulder, and when she looks behind her shoulder she's going to look from where the shot came from, and that will be where her love interest is standing in the hallway with blood on the wall, and he is going to be sort of looking away and looking around because he is in fact investigating the case and he can't really show that he's like involved with her. And it's going to sort of make the audience think, because he's standing where the shooter must have been standing, that maybe he was the shooter as well. Then it will black out and then just say coming to cinemas. I obviously haven't made very much like effort with trying to make it look pretty at the moment, but I'm going to come up with sort of like a text theme and like a theme for the entire trailer and the poster and the movie magazine cover. Next we're going to see an image of the wife, and she is it's again going to be sort of like a close up, and she's going to have bruises on her face again, and she's just going to be covering it up with makeup, and she's sort of going to be crying at the same time because then it builds up again personal identification with the character. Next we're going to see a contrasting shot between both the wife and her lover and her husband. Now this one I've just sort of shown a very quick one of one of my ideas because I couldn't really draw them all, and it's going to show the wife and the love interest, and they're going to be very smitten, and he's going to be putting his hand on her cheek, and that is going to contrast with the husband because he looks like he's going to put his hand on her cheek, but he's actually going to go like around her neck and like sort of be abusing her, which then very clearly shows that the wife has been abused, and then this gives her a motive for killing him. I couldn't do it very well with the editing because I just did it in Movie Maker, but on the beating sound in the music it's going to black out on zooming up into the scene of the crime of the husband laying on the floor, and it will look better when I actually film it and edit it properly, but it's just going to keep on blacking out and blacking out like a heartbeat or like someone's blinking to try and make sure that it's not true. And while it's doing that, it's going to keep on blacking out into a shot of a gun in the hallway, and we're just going to see that someone is holding the gun, but we're not going to get any clues as to if it's female or male or who it is, because it's just going to be the gun. And then the song will say turn off all the lights, and then it will literally be like the lights have been turned off and it will completely shut out and black out, and then it will say the date that it's coming out. I've just made up this date and said that it's March 2014. Next there's going to be a shot of the wife and the love interest in bed. He's asleep and she's just sort of laying there, and I'm going to have it so then the lights are getting brighter and brighter like it is coming morning, like she's had no sleep that night. And in this scene I'm going to have the wife and she's just sort of going to be walking home, and it's going to be very dark and very late, and then she's going to come into a lamppost light, and then she's just sort of going to be looking around, and then she's going to realise that she's being followed, and she's going to turn around and look around her, and she's going to look into the camera, so it'll be an over the shoulder shot, and then you'll see that she's getting agitated and that she's getting worried that someone's following her. And then the next shot is going to very quickly go into a scene of the policeman, her love interest, and he's actually going to be arresting her, and that's going to be a few medium and two shots, and it's not going to be too complex with the shot types, but it's going to be sort of all slow motion. The next shot is going to be in the interrogation room, and the wife is going to be interrogated by someone different, not by the love interest, and there's going to be all these files on the table with all these different people and suspects and everything, and he's just going to be basically having a go at her, trying to get the truth from her, and she's just sort of going to be crying and just sort of losing it a bit. The next few shots are going to be quite interesting because it's going to sort of introduce us to another character that we don't know of, and it's going to be a few shots of a few files of everyone, and we're going to look through all the different files, and that's going to introduce us to all these different characters and all their different motives. Then we're going to have a shot of all these files being burned, and it's probably going to be by the same hand, I'm not too sure, but it will just sort of show the fire and show the files and how they're being destroyed, and this is going to make the audience seem quite confused because they don't know who's doing this and they don't know why. Then the next shot we're going to have is going to be much like it's going to be pretty much the same scene as when she feels like she's being followed, and she's going to be running because obviously she feels like she's being followed and she's getting very nervous and very agitated. So she's going to be running, and obviously this is going to contrast with the slow tone of the song, and obviously I'm going to put it in slow motion, which will make it seem a lot more interesting and look a lot more different. Next I'm going to have it's going to be a dark shot of a car, and that will sort of someone the idea that someone's in their car or someone's waiting for someone or something. Then we're going to have another shot of the wife running, and that's going to give you an idea that she's getting closer and closer to this car. And then the next shot will be of the car and her starting to run in front of the car. Then when she reaches the middle of the car, the lights are going to turn on, and then that will go with the song, because that's when it really does build the tension. And then it's going to show a few shots of the wife and the love interest obviously getting closer and kissing. And then it's going to show the director's name, which is mine, and then it's going to have a few sort of blacking out scenes into different characters' faces. So it will show different characters' faces in different scenes, and then I'll just have the actor's name in there, and then that will make the audience know who's playing these characters, and will also sort of introduce them to them. Then the last few seconds are just going to be of the movie title, which is indictable, which is actually a real word. It actually means that the crime is punishable. And then next there's going to be heavy breathing, like at the very start of the trailer. And I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with this scene, because I thought that I'd leave it blank, but thinking about it, I'm thinking maybe having the same shot with the gun, and obviously not seeing who it is, and it will be like sort of like the heavy breathing before someone shot one, because then I'm going to have the gun shot at the end of the song, and then that will just sort of leave